Welcome to Tuesday Talks, where we build community one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Denise Nicolo, and we are here today with Kyle from The Vault in Southside. Welcome.
Hey, Denise, how you doing?
I'm good. So, to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, well, my name's Kyle Wolfe. I'm the owner, and I was the general manager actually of the Vault Tap Room. We have just elevated our assistant general manager, Jasmine Underwood, who if anybody in your audience has been here before, knows she's the manager that runs the day-to-day operations. She's super sweet. But I own the Vault Tap Room, and we started in Southside in July 2019 with the whole self-serve concept of beer, wine, and cider, and a really nice kind of elevated quality cuisine in the kitchen. My background is this is actually my first business. I'm 28 years old. Started this when I was 26, and this has been a bit of a roller coaster, but with COVID and everything. But so far so good. I graduated from Pitt in 2015 with a chemical engineering degree. Always wanted to open my own business, and so I got the opportunity about 3 years ago to do that.
Awesome. So now, do you live in Southside where your restaurant is, or elsewhere?
I don't. I live in, we did live in Ross Township. Now we live in Glenshaw. I have been looking at homes around the South Side area, but with the housing market right now, it's a little bit too hard to get a hold of properties. So.
Well, actually, Southside has some great properties, and it's not moving as fast as some other places. So maybe we can chat a little bit more after.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's wonderful that you chose Southside as your location. What drew you to Southside as the place to start your business?
Well, it's funny because originally we went to Lawrenceville, which was and I guess it is still a little bit the kind of the hot community to go into from a restaurant and bar standpoint. But the community itself was a little bit less receptive than we originally had figured. And the landlord that we were negotiating with was dragging their feet a lot. And so we actually caught wind that the Beehive, the owner of the Beehive and the Rowdy Buck turned Trixie's, was looking to sell out and move on. And so, kind of behind the scenes, we were talking with them, and the more we talked and the more we looked into the South Side, the more we realized the South Side is really where the opportunity was. Not only were they extremely welcoming, we got to know, Bruce Krause, Councilman Krause, and members of the South Side Community Council, members of the South Side Chamber of Commerce, and it just really felt like a very welcoming and hospitable environment to bring this type of concept to. Neighbors were absolutely phenomenal. Everyone we met was super, super welcoming. It was really, it's funny with the South Side, all you hear about is, from midnight to 2 a.m. on Carson Street on Saturday night, which if you look at South Side is much, much, much smaller of a percentage of the neighborhood than really it gets made out to be. The rest of the neighborhood is absolutely phenomenal. Wonderful old properties. You get 1 block away from Carson Street and you don't have any problems at all. The college students really, they live and they entertain themselves on Carson Street. And so outside of Carson Street, it's just an absolutely wonderful and thriving neighborhood. Sorry about that. So the more we got to know the neighborhood, 5,000 people on the South Side Flats, 5,000 people on the slopes, the incomes and everything, it just made a lot of sense. And so we moved very aggressively. Great corner location on 14th and Carson, lots of windows, very open. It just all started to fall into place.
Yeah, Southside is a wonderful community. It sounds like you really did your homework, and you probably should be one of those residents here because you sound like you have a love for where you put your business.
I really do. I've gotten to know the local business owners. We do a lot of business with Copies of Carson right next door. It's a nice little niche printing business. Rebecca's fantastic over there. Gotten to know Southside Chamber, Candace. She's super, super awesome. Barbara, I can't remember.
Rudiak.
Yeah, Rudiak, that's right. Councilman Krause. There's a really a very strong sense of leadership in the community, and it really drives a lot of community engagement. So Yeah, I have considered for a while now getting a place in the South Side, especially for those late nights.
Oh, yeah, makes it that much easier, right?
Right.
So I grew up in Southside. I live in Southside now, and I mean, I found your restaurant just walking down the street one evening. My husband and I actually were out for our anniversary, and we're like, "Oh, well, let's try this cool place." And it is totally awesome.
Nice. I'm
But
glad
I
you
mean, I remember when it was the Beehive, and even way back, it was the Looney Bin at your place. Have you, in renovations and updates, found any interesting
enjoyed.
historical
You know
pieces?
what? It's funny you mentioned that. I'm sitting in the exact right place at the exact right time. I need to check the ceilings. They don't have one upstairs. Oh, okay. I'm going to multitask a little bit here, but we actually found this was kind of one of the major leftovers that we have so far right now is these little Beehive postcards where, for the first year of operations, we had a lot of people coming through and telling stories about their interactions and their kind of Beehive was a home for a lot of people, and that's something that we didn't really appreciate as much as we did when we first moved into this space. But now we do. And so every time we'd have someone come through who said, they missed the Beehive and they loved the Beehive and the place looks great, but the Beehive, that's where they grew up, etc. Which you may have some familiarity with, I'm sure. We would give them these postcards and they were just through the moon, um, absolutely loved that we would take the effort to not only preserve those postcards, but then hand them out as a little token of our appreciation and their love for the Beehive. So I did get an opportunity to stop in for coffee and some breakfast a couple of times while we're going through the process. And from what I understand of the Beehive, it was the spot back in the mid to late 90s. Art, music, I mean, it was everything. It was kind of the heartbeat of the South Side at that time. And it was really nice to be able to be a part of its history, we'll say.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you mentioned the art at the Beehive.
Mhm.
Did that have any influence on the artwork that you have around your restaurant?
It really did because when we first built the place, I'm an engineer, and so interior design is not my forte, and it was made very apparent to me. I had one guest say, "quote It was akin to a sanatorium, lots of white walls," which fair enough. Took that to heart, and we painted some walls, and then we started to get some interest from a couple of different local artists because we had so much wall space, and that's the really nice thing about the interior is it has a lot of really big wall space.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurants have wall space, but it's small, and so it really gave us an opportunity to bring in artists with large format paintings, and they could really, really pop off of these big walls. And so we got hooked up with a couple of local artists to start. And since then, it's kind of snowballed. We do sell the art off the walls, and we do not take a commission for it. So 100% of the proceeds of the sale go directly to the artist. With art, we figure the artist is lending their work to us to display on our walls and to beautify our restaurant. That is for us the commission, and it really, just comes down to wanting to be a good community steward, wanting to help others that as we have been helped through our process. So it's kind of just slowly taken a life of its own. Every once in a while, we'll have someone come through and they'll say, "Hey, can I talk to someone about my art?" And we'll talk. And it's really on them. If they want to come in and they want to put their art up, we really put it on them. We say, absolutely 100%. You bring it in, we'll hang it up. So if you're motivated, you want to sell some art off the walls. I think so far we've sold probably close to $2,000 to $3,000 worth of art off of our walls.
Really good.
Which is really fantastic. Especially during the pandemic, we were actually getting some movement on that art, which really helped a lot of those artists at the time. So
Yeah.
a lot of times those artists are working in the same industry, restaurant industry, that was being affected so drastically by COVID. So it just kind of worked out quite nicely. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And great way to do that. Now there are two pictures that I was looking at the last time I was there that are right above all of your taps. Are they actual pictures that have been kind of painted, or did an artist come in and paint those directly?
Oh, so are you talking about the beverage photos, the ones that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we actually had a photographer as a part of one of our little marketing campaigns. He came in and he did what he calls splash photos. So those are actually photographs taken in real time with just a small amount of editing done and then printed onto stainless steel backs.
Oh,
So that was kind of his little niche, and that, yeah, those are actually pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. They're perfect end caps, sort of on that tap wall. So talking about the tap wall, tell us a little bit more about the concept of your restaurant and how it came up.
So, as any good idea comes about, it was stolen. These tap walls, these self-serve draft systems have been around since 2015, 16 time period. And so it was actually my business partner, Josh, who literally stumbled into one of these places down in Charlottesville. He and his pals were on a business trip, hitting the local bars at the end of the day, and a little drunk, walked in one of these things, and just after a half hour called me raving about this idea. And we had actually talked about for years, ever since we met in college, opening a business together. And so he hung up the phone, went about his night, and I was traveling for business as well at that point, and I didn't forget about it. And for the next 2 weeks, I did my homework. I researched, and eventually I came back to him 2 weeks later, and I said, "Okay, you ready to do this?" And he goes, "Do what?"
Sounds like he had a good trip.
Yeah, that's right. He had a fantastic trip. So, but it ended up working out, and the whole idea behind the concept is, first off, self-serve draft beer, cider, and wine. It sounds more complicated than it actually is. We give you a little card. That card allows you access to these taps, and it tracks how much you're pouring. And so basically, you pour your own beverage, and you have the ability to pour as little or as much as you want of each of the different beverages. So in a normal bar, you ask for a sample. If the bar is packed and it's taking you 20 minutes to get up to the bar, the last thing you're going to do is ask for a sample, right? You're just going to piss off the bartender, and you're not going to get a beer, right? But here, it's nice because you have the control over what you sample. So we've had people come through, we have 30 beverages on the tap, and they'll go through and they'll have an ounce of each one, and they'll find their favorite. And they have a good time. They talk about the beers, and then they'll go back and they'll get their favorite for their last beer. Or we have some people who have their standbys. They'll go up and they'll pour themselves a beer and sit back down at their table. And in both cases, you're giving someone an opportunity to try something new without necessarily the financial risk, quote unquote, of not liking it. So if you get a full beer at a bar, you don't like it, what are you going to do about it, right? But if you get an ounce of beer on this wall and you don't like it, you're down 50 cents, right? I mean, 2 quarters, you lose that in your car, right? So it's a super convenient way to give people access to choice without the risk that comes with adventurous consumption. And then from a food side, we really took it. We took the idea of high quality food in a good, recognizable, good value package. So we take so your classic Americana kind of stuff, like a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, and we bread it in-house ourselves. We batter it in-house ourselves. It's our own honey Dijon mustard. It's our own pickles. It's our own slaw, right? So it's your classic hot chicken sandwich, but everything that goes on that sandwich is made in-house. So so that's the whole concept behind the food, and it's all priced at a point. Fries are cut in-house daily. It's all priced such that everyone who walks in should be able to find something they like from the beer wall or from the bar, cocktails, scratch cocktails, just like our scratch food, and feel like they're walking out with a good value. If you don't walk out having absolutely filled your gut with food and that's your fault, not ours.
That is a great way to look at it. And yes, everything that I have ever tried there, or anybody else that I know has tried, has absolutely loved it. My personal favorite is the fried green tomatoes.
That is Chef Todd. He's actually in the office with me now. He just did a little fist pump. That's actually his invention. And it's kind of like what, it's a bit of a Mediterranean twist on a fried green tomato ish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the traditional Southern way as far as frying the fried green tomatoes themselves. It's a Southern dish, classic. But then we use a little bit of whipped feta with some pepper and chili that gives it a little bit of saltiness and heat to it, and with a sweet tomato jam. So you're getting so many different textures, so many different contrasts in temperature and flavor and texture. And it's been wonderful. I could never see it abandoning.
It's the whole package. I don't know if you could hear all that.
I did. So yes, thank you, Chef Tom. Now I want to ask as well, are most of those creations his in-house, or do you bring them from somewhere else?
Here, there we go. Hey, Chef Tom, there he is.
So everything's done in-house. I mean, there are a lot of the concepts that have been held over from other restaurants that I've worked at. I've tweaked them to my own design, my own accord, however, to best suit what we're doing here. And then there's a couple that have been, like the fried green tomatoes, I've carried that around for about 10, 11 years now. And the chili that we used to have, that was actually a chili recipe that my mom would always make for me 40 years ago, 35, 40 years ago. But ever since I started learning how to cook, I took that recipe and I've tweaked it over the years. Made it better. She hates me for that. And so that's like a 20-year ongoing recipe, but everything's made in-house, created, designed. We keep in mind, seasonality and the demographic as well, because we can't put out something that is going to turn away any of our customers. Like you said, there's plenty of stuff on there that you've enjoyed. We want everybody to enjoy themselves. We don't chase fine dining, anything to that. It's just great,
good food.
Yeah, very, very good food. Now you said it's all seasonal ingredients, so your menu rotates. Do you do that seasonally, or just kind of, as things need a change?
We don't go deep seasonal. We don't change 4 times a year. Originally, we thought about that, but we find that as we change our menu, we change at least twice a year, and sometimes it rotates a little bit more depending on what's working, what's not. But we also find that there's certain things that we just can't take off the menu that we're like, okay, well, this is kind of going out, but everybody's buying it, so we got to leave it on the Cubano.
Oh, yeah.
One of those. The Cubano, I think, came.
It almost had a death.
Yeah,
permanently.
We started that, I think, during COVID, just because sandwich feasibility, familiarity with it. Didn't sell very well at the beginning, and then it took off like rocket
fuel. Yeah,
it
took off fast. It's a good one.
There we go. And so we couldn't get rid of it. Personally, I love our mac and cheese, but I can't eat it during the summer. But we have so many people that just want it and want it and want it that we can't get rid of it. So
sharp white cheddar and smoked Gouda, that's the secret. Oh, sorry, that's right. You can't know that. More stuff in there, just by the way.
There's some Chef Tom love in there too. That's the other secret, right?
Right.
So, it's very nice talking to you. I got to get back to it.
Thank you.
Was this for the young lady for the real estate company?
Yeah.
Oh, I met you before.
I did when I stopped in. Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Anyway.
That's okay. I love making sure and hearing everything about it. So you pretty much reach all aspects of life, from the comfort food to the high end to anybody in between. That's wonderful.
We try our hardest to please our guests, and that's really at the end of the day what our goal is. For you to come in, and whether you're having a great day or a bad day, you should be able to walk out feeling good about yourself.
That is like a perfect motto, especially for the restaurant industry, and especially right now too. So talking about walking in, are you doing in-house seating, or how open are you with COVID right now?
Yeah, so right now the regulations dictate that we can seat up to 75% of our normal capacity, which means indoors, which means our indoor seating capacity is somewhere in the range of 110 to 120 now. Everyone needs to be at a seat, and there needs to be social distancing, which means we really only have about 70 of our normal 100 table seats available. Bar just opened up, so we are allowed to seat our bar, and we have purchased these little plexiglass shields that we can put up in between each separate party, which gives you a nice barrier between your parties, so you don't have to worry about sitting at one bar stool being next to someone else. You have this nice plastic shield, rests on the bar. We can move it wherever you want. And so with that, we've got about 20 bar seats, 70 table seats interior, socially distanced, of course. So we're operating at about 90 seats inside. And then we have an outdoor courtyard patio that has another, it's probably 24 dining seats. And then we have 22 dining seats. And then we have 8 bench seats around our fire pits out there.
Oh, that sounds like a perfect place to go for a nice, cool evening. Maybe not tonight, but
Super nice. Yeah, tonight's a little bit rainy. We'll see what it looks like. But we've been able to, with patio heaters, which we have those nice radiant heaters, we can operate that patio on good weather down to about 45 degrees. It is uncovered, so it's not like, if we get rain, it's rain. You can't do anything about that. But if it's a little bit chilly out there, not to where we have nice propane heaters, we put those up on high, and usually we get our servers sweating as they're running around out there. It's actually pretty nice.
oh, well, I'll have to definitely check that one out. I've only been inside the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, any changes that had to happen with the taps on the wall and the self pour due to COVID that you've been able to adapt to?
Yeah, so we originally we had glassware below the walls, but to encourage people, which they should be doing anyway, to go single use, we have had to transition over to plastic cups. Obviously not hugely environmentally friendly. We are working on some other options to make. They do have biodegradable plastic cups that we've been looking at. Sometimes a bit cost prohibitive, but we're working on it. So it's the single use plastic cups, and then obviously social distancing while at the wall. And then finally, we have disposable poly gloves, we call them. They're little blue plastic gloves that you put on. And so while you're at the tap, you actually have a physical barrier between yourselves and the tap wall. And then obviously, we are constantly sanitizing the tap wall, because that is a high traffic area, and making sure that remains very clean throughout the dining experience.
Okay, so you've pretty much taken all the precautions possible, so everybody should feel very safe coming in to visit the vault.
Out of all of out of all the restaurants on Carson Street, we'll say, there have been a lot of really good players, as you could say, that have been adhering very strictly to those COVID restrictions, for the good of not only the customers, but also our staff as well. Because if we have staff that get sick, obviously we want to protect the health of the staff, but then you also run into operational issues as a result as well. So we've been very cautious, and we've been working very hard to make sure that we maintain a safe environment, not only for our wonderful guests, which we care for dearly, but also our staff, which we also care for dearly.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking care to cover everybody. So last question I have is, where did the name of the vault come from?
It's actually a funny story because when we were in Lawrenceville, the very, very, very first property we looked at actually was the old Arsenal Bank building. And I think it's currently, there's a taco place in it now. I can't remember what the name of it is. But it was fantastic, super beautiful. It's just the layout didn't really work very well for what we were envisioning. And so before we moved on to the next locations and started to find locations that would work better, we were spitballing names, and the Vault Tap Room came up as a name because, we've got this wall of beer, it's what we call our beer vault, right? And you can sample from our vault. You take there's a lot of wordplay that goes on, but it was something that was short and sweet. We could remember it, which was huge. Especially when you're spitballing ideas, sometimes you're having a couple of drinks, and we could remember the vault at the end of it.
Well, when you got your customers having a couple of drinks, you always want them to remember something short and sweet too.
Yeah, there you start to understand our tactic there.
Sounds like you're just as much as a customer as an owner some days.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it kind of just happened to work, and it happened to work well, and we could fit it into the concept. It was short and sweet. It came out with a really nice, sleek logo, and it just kind of all fit really nice.
Okay, well, I'm glad it fit, and I am so glad that your restaurant and that concept fits in Southside, because it's a wonderful place to visit.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We feel like we've been blessed with the opportunity, and we hope to continue to be able to serve our wonderful guests in our community as we have been.
Great. So is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
Oh boy, I think we've covered the gambit. I would say come down, visit, say hi to Jasmine. Our bartenders are super awesome. They come up with some absolutely wonderful stuff. The food's fantastic. Even Chef Todd makes an appearance on the floor every once in a while. He likes to talk to his guests. So we're a super friendly crew. We're laid back. We like to have a good time. We like our people to have a good time. So there's absolutely no pressure when you come in. Come in, enjoy yourself, and we'll make sure to put a smile on your face by the end.
Awesome. So if you want to share with us where everybody can come in and find you, what is your address, and can they find out more information on social media at all?
Yeah, so we are located on the corner of 14th and Carson. If you know Southside at all, it's right catty corner from the Starbucks. 1327 East Carson Street, Pittsburgh 15203. For those of you watching who are not in the South Side. And you can get more information. Our website is always up to date. That's www.thevaultpgh.com. And then we have Facebook and Instagram. It's been a little bit out of date recently. I'll take the full blame for that one. It's been a little bit rough going past couple of months, but we'll start updating that here pretty soon. Our website is definitely the best place to get more information. We also deliver via Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub if you feel like not going out on a rainy day. And then we also have in-house online ordering, or you can call in. We do take reservations over Open Table, but we usually reserve about 50% of our restaurant capacity for walk-ins. So whether you're feeling like planning a big night out next Saturday, or you want to just kind of spur of the moment on a nice Tuesday, Wednesday walk-in, always welcome.
Awesome. So I'll make sure all that contact information is below. So reach out if you have any questions, but I definitely highly recommend just stopping in, grabbing a table, grabbing a drink, and some great food. So thank you very much for being here today. And we look forward to seeing you more and seeing you around for a long time here in Southside.
Well, I appreciate it, and I look forward to the future. It's been a lot of fun so far. Thanks, Danita.
You're welcome. So thank you everybody for being here today on Tuesday Talks, where we build community one conversation at a time. This is Kyle from The Vault in Southside, Pittsburgh, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day.
See you guys.